A barefoot 6-year-old girl stumbled onto the dark highway, her white dress torn and blood-stained. She ran straight into the path of 10 thundering motorcycles. The lead rider slammed his brakes, his Harley skidding sideways. The child grabbed his leather vest with both trembling hands and whispered through sobs, "Please help me. My mother won't get up." Her feet were bleeding. Her eyes held a terror no child should know. Behind her, the forest stretched into blackness. Somewhere in that darkness, her family was dying. Subscribe to our channel and follow this story to the end. Comment your city below so we can see how far this story travels. The little girl's fingers dug into Forge's leather vest like she was holding on to life itself. "Please," she whispered again. "Please, my mommy won't wake up." Forge killed his engine. Behind him, 9 other Harleys fell silent one by one. The sudden quiet was almost violent after hours of road thunder. "Hey, hey." Forge pulled off his helmet, revealing a weathered face and gray beard streaked with the last light of sunset. "Slow down, sweetheart. What's your name?" "Emma." Her voice cracked. "Emma Brooks." "Okay, Emma, I'm Forge. Can you tell me what happened?" "Mommy fell down and she won't get up, and Noah tried to wake her, but she won't open her eyes, and I walked and walked, and my feet hurt, but I had to find someone because Noah said Mommy might be dying." The words tumbled out in a desperate flood. Forge felt his chest tighten. Tank, the massive biker with arms like tree trunks, was already off his bike. "Jesus Christ, Forge, look at her feet." Forge looked down. Emma's feet were raw and bloody, covered in cuts and dirt. She'd walked miles through rough terrain, barefoot, at 6 years old. "How far did you walk, honey?" Forge asked gently. "I don't know. A long time. Through the woods. Noah said follow the path until I found the big road." Razor stepped forward, his scarred face suspicious. This could be a setup. You know how many times we've heard about ambushes starting exactly like this? "She's 6 years old," Wraith snapped. She was the only woman in the group, and her eyes hadn't left Emma since the child appeared. "Look at her, Razor. Look at her feet. Nobody fakes that." "I'm just saying we should be careful." "And I'm saying shut up." Forge raised his hand. "Enough." He knelt down to Emma's level. "Sweetheart, where's your house? Can you show us?" Emma pointed toward the dark tree line. "That way, down the path. It's really far." "Is it just you and your mommy and Noah?" Emma's face crumpled. "Daddy left. He said he was coming back, but he didn't. That was a lot of days ago. Mommy cried a lot. Then she stopped crying. Then she fell down." Forge exchanged a look with Brick, his former combat medic. Brick's expression said everything. This wasn't good. "How long has your mommy been asleep?" Brick asked, kneeling beside Forge. "Since yesterday. Maybe before yesterday. I don't remember. Noah tried to give her water, but she wouldn't drink it." "Does your mommy take medicine? Any special medicine every day?" Emma nodded vigorously. "She takes shots. In her tummy. But she ran out. She said Daddy was supposed to bring more, but he didn't come back." "Diabetic," Brick said quietly to Forge. "If she's been without insulin for days..." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Forge stood up. "We're going now." "Forge, we don't know what we're walking into," Razor insisted. "Let me call the cops." "No signal out here," Ghost said, checking his phone. "We're in a dead zone. Then we ride until we get signal and call it in." "And leave her," Wraith's voice was sharp as a blade. "Leave a 6-year-old alone on the highway. Leave her mother to die. What kind of man are you?" Razor's jaw tightened. The kind who's seen too many brothers die walking into traps. "This isn't Afghanistan." Tank's deep voice rumbled like distant thunder. "This is Tennessee. And that's a little girl with bloody feet who walked God knows how far to find help. We're going." Forge nodded. "We follow the kid. Anyone who doesn't like it can wait here." Nobody moved toward their bikes to leave. Even Razor, despite his protests, wasn't going anywhere. Forge lifted Emma carefully, cradling her against his chest. She weighed almost nothing. When had she last eaten? When did you last have food? "Emma." "I don't remember." Noah gave me some crackers. But that was before Mommy fell down. Before. So at least 2 days. Emma nodded against his shoulder. Forge felt something shift inside him. Something he'd buried deep years ago. The protective fury of a father. He'd failed his own son. Let his marriage crumble. Let his boy grow up without him. But this child right now, right here, he could do something about this. Hold on tight, sweetheart. We're going to help your mommy. He climbed onto his bike with Emma secured in front of him. The other steel guardians mounted up without a word. Engines roared back to life, and they turned toward the dark tree line. The path was barely visible, more of a suggestion than a road. Branches scraped against chrome and leather. Roots jutted up like skeletal fingers trying to grab their wheels, but they pressed on their headlights, cutting thin slices through the darkness. How much farther, Emma? Forge called over the engine noise. I don't know. It felt like forever when I was walking. 10 minutes and Colt pulled up beside Forge. He was the youngest at 26, still carrying that idealistic fire that the older members had long since buried. Forge, this doesn't feel right. Not the girl I believe her. But something's wrong out here. I can feel it. I know. What do we do if it's too late? Forge didn't answer. He couldn't, because he'd been asking himself the same question since Emma grabbed his vest. After nearly 15 minutes of rough riding, Emma suddenly straightened. There. That's my house. Through the trees, Forge saw it. A farmhouse that might have been white decades ago, now gray and peeling. A porch that sagged like a broken spine. Windows dark except for one faint light on the ground floor. They killed their engines at the edge of the property. The silence rushed back in heavy and suffocating. Stay behind me, Forge told Emma as he set her down. Can you walk? It hurts. Tank was there immediately. I got her. He scooped Emma up like she weighed nothing, his massive arms forming a protective cage around her small body. The Steel Guardians moved toward the house in formation. Years of instinct, some military, some harder won, guided their steps. They weren't just bikers. They were veteran survivors, men who'd seen the worst humanity could offer and somehow kept going. The front door hung crooked on its hinges. Forge pushed it open and the smell hit him immediately. Stale air, rotting food, something sour and sharp underneath it all. Noah, Emma called out. Noah, I brought help. A sound from deeper in the house, footsteps small and fast. A boy appeared in the hallway, maybe 9 years old, holding a baseball bat raised over his shoulder. His face was pale and streaked with dried tears, but his eyes burned with desperate determination. Stay back, Noah shouted. I'll hit you. I swear I'll hit you. Easy, kid. Forge raised both hands, showing they were empty. Your sister brought us. We're here to help your mom. I don't believe you. Everyone lies. Dad said he'd come back and he didn't. The neighbors said they'd check on us and they didn't. Everyone lies. Noah. Emma's voice cut through his panic. Noah, they came. They really came. They're going to help Mommy. Noah's eyes found his sister in Tank's arms. The bat wavered. Emmy, you okay? Did they hurt you? They're nice, Noah. The big one carried me because my feet hurt. Please let them help Mommy. The bat lowered slowly. Noah's tough facade cracked, and suddenly he was just a 9-year-old boy who'd been holding his family together through sheer willpower. She's in the living room, he whispered. She won't wake up. I tried everything. I tried water, and I tried shaking her, and I tried yelling, but she won't wake up. Brick was already moving. Show me. Noah led them to a small living room dominated by a sagging brown couch. On it lay a woman who might have been in her mid-30s, but deprivation had aged her. Her skin was gray, her breathing shallow and irregular. Her lips had a bluish tinge. Brick knelt beside her fingers, finding her pulse. His expression darkened immediately. She's in diabetic shock. Severe hypoglycemia, I think, or maybe DKA. Either way, she's crashing. How long since her last insulin? Noah shook his head frantically. I don't know. She ran out days ago. She said Dad was supposed to bring more. She kept waiting and waiting, and then she got really tired, and then she wouldn't get up. Do you know if she ate anything? Drank anything? I tried to make her eat. I made soup from the last can we had. But she couldn't swallow it. It just dribbled out. Brick turned to Forge. She needs a hospital, now. Like 20 minutes ago now. If we don't move her soon. He didn't finish. Noah heard enough. Is my mom going to die? The question hung in the air like a physical weight. Brick looked at the boy, really looked at him, 9 years old, holding a baseball bat to protect his family, taking care of his 6-year-old sister, trying to force-feed soup to his unconscious mother, alone for God knows how long. Not if I can help it, Brick said firmly, but I need you to be brave a little longer. Can you do that? Noah nodded, his jaw set. Hawk, Forge called. Ride back to the highway, get to town, call 911 and guide them here. Go. Hawk was already moving. Seconds later, his engine roared to life and tore back down the path. What do we do until help comes? Ghost asked. Keep her stable. Brick was checking Sarah's vital signs again. Her blood sugar is either way too low or way too high, I can't tell without equipment. But she's dehydrated for sure. If we had glucose. I have candy bars, Colt offered. In my saddlebag. Emergency rations. Get them. If she's hypoglycemic, we can try to get some sugar into her system. If she's hyperglycemic, it might make things worse, but at this point... Brick shook his head. We're flying blind. Ghost moved through the house, checking windows and doors. Old habit. Make sure your position is secure. He stopped in the kitchen doorway. Forge. Something in his voice made everyone turn. Forge walked over. The kitchen was a disaster, dirty dishes, overflowing trash. But that wasn't what Ghost was showing him. Every cupboard stood open. Every single one. Empty. The refrigerator door hung ajar. Inside, nothing but a bottle of ketchup and something that might have once been cheese. They've got no food, Ghost said quietly. Nothing. These kids have been surviving on nothing. Forge's hands clenched into fists. He'd seen combat. He'd watched friends die. He'd done things that still haunted his nightmares. But this children starving in America, a mother dying because she couldn't afford medicine, a father who abandoned them all, this hit different. Noah. Forge kept his voice steady. When did you last eat, really eat? Noah didn't meet his eyes. Emma needed the food more than me. She's little. That's not what I asked. I don't remember. Maybe 4 days ago. The soup. I had some of the soup before I gave the rest to Emmy. 4 days. This kid hadn't eaten in 4 days, so his sister could have the last scraps. Tank still holding Emma made a sound deep in his chest, something between a growl and a sob. He'd served 3 tours in Iraq. He'd seen children in war zones. He never thought he'd see it here. We have food in our packs, Tank said gruffly. Protein bars, jerky, nothing fancy, but it's something. Can I have some? Emma asked in a small voice. I'm really hungry. Yeah, sweetheart, you can have all of it. Wraith was already heading outside to grab supplies from the bikes. Preacher, the ordained minister who'd found God after losing everything else, knelt beside Noah. Son, you did something incredible. You kept your sister alive. You took care of your mother. You were braver than most grown men I know. I wasn't brave, Noah's voice cracked. I was scared the whole time. I cried every night after Emmy fell asleep. I didn't know what to do. I kept waiting for Dad to come back, but he didn't, and Mom got sicker, and I didn't know what to do. Being brave isn't about not being scared. It's about doing what needs to be done even when you're terrified. And you did that. You're a hero, Noah. Don't let anyone ever tell you different. Noah finally broke. The tears he'd been holding back for days, maybe weeks, came flooding out. He collapsed against Preacher, sobbing into the older man's leather vest. Preacher held him, this hardened biker who'd done time for assault, who'd struggled with addiction, who'd lost his own family to his demons. He held this broken child and let him cry. It's okay, Preacher murmured. It's okay. You're not alone anymore. We've got you. Wraith returned with food and distributed it carefully. Emma ate a protein bar so fast she nearly choked. Tank made her slow down, breaking off small pieces for her. Easy, little one. Small bites. There's plenty more. Really more food. More than you can eat, I promise. Back in the living room, Brick was working on Sarah. He'd managed to get some dissolved candy into her mouth, massaging her throat to help her swallow. Her pulse is getting stronger, he reported. Slightly. If Hawk got through, if the ambulance is coming. How long? Forge asked. 40 minutes minimum to get to town, call it in, and get paramedics here. Probably closer to an hour. Can she last an hour? Brick hesitated. I don't know. I'm doing everything I can. Forge pulled out his phone again. Still no signal. He'd been in war zones with better communication infrastructure. Scotch Bishop, ride toward town. If you get signal, call 911 yourselves. Don't wait for Hawk. More calls might mean faster response. They nodded and headed out. Razor approached Forge, his paranoia temporarily shelved. I was wrong. About the trap. I'm sorry. Don't apologize to me. Apologize to her. Forge nodded toward Emma. Razor walked over to where Tank sat with Emma in his lap. The little girl looked up at him with those wide blue eyes. I'm sorry, Razor said awkwardly. I was worried this might be dangerous. I shouldn't have hesitated. Emma studied him for a moment. It's okay. Mommy says strangers can be scary. You didn't know we weren't scary. Razor, who'd survived things that would break most men, felt his eyes sting. You're not scary, he managed. You're the bravest little girl I've ever met. Emma smiled. It was a small, exhausted smile, but it was real. My brother's braver. He stayed with Mommy. I just walked. Just walked? Tank shook his head. Baby girl, you walked for miles through the woods in the dark with no shoes. That's not just anything. That's incredible. I was really scared. I thought there might be monsters in the woods. There are no monsters in these woods, Tank said firmly. And even if there were, we'd fight them for you. Promise. Cross my heart. An hour passed. The longest hour of Forge's life. Sarah's condition wavered. Sometimes she seemed more responsive. Sometimes she slipped deeper into unconsciousness. Brick never left her side, monitoring her vital signs with nothing but his hands and his training. Noah refused to leave the living room. He sat on the floor beside his mother, holding her hand, talking to her in a low voice. I'm sorry I couldn't do more, Mom. I tried. I really tried. Emma was so hungry, and I didn't know how to fix the stove, and the bread was all moldy, and I tried to make sandwiches, but we didn't have anything to put in them. I'm sorry. Please wake up. Please don't leave us like Dad did. Please. Forge stood in the corner watching. Every word from Noah's mouth was a knife in his chest. He thought about his own son. 18 now. A stranger. Forge had missed everything. First steps, first words, first day of school, first heartbreak. He'd been too broken when he came home from overseas. Too angry, too haunted, too lost in the bottle. His ex-wife had been right to leave. Right to protect their son from the monster Forge had become. But knowing that didn't make it hurt less. Now here was this kid, this 9-year-old who'd done everything right, who'd sacrificed for his family, who'd protected his sister, who'd tried so damn hard. And his reward was watching his mother slip away while his father counted money in some other state. Forge made a decision in that moment. He didn't know what it would cost him. Didn't care. Some things mattered more than cost. The sound of sirens shattered the silence. They're here, Colt shouted from the window. I see the lights. The next few minutes were controlled chaos. Paramedics rushed in with equipment and expertise. They took over from Brick, who stepped back with obvious relief. Diabetic ketoacidosis, one paramedic confirmed after checking Sarah's blood sugar. Severe. She needs ICU stat. They loaded Sarah onto a stretcher. Noah tried to climb in the ambulance with her. Sorry, son. Family only. I am family. She's my mom. I mean adults. Is there an adult family member? His father abandoned them. Forge cut in. The kids have nobody. I'll take responsibility. The paramedic hesitated. Sir, I can't just... My name is Marcus Stone, former Army Ranger service number 47832. I have a clean record, and I'm a licensed foster care provider in the state of Tennessee. The lie came smooth and easy. He'd deal with the consequences later. These children are under my protection. I'll follow in my vehicle and meet you at the hospital. The paramedic looked uncertain but overwhelmed. Fine. Methodist Hospital 23 miles east. Don't lose us. They roared off sirens, wailing. Forge turned to his crew. "Tank, you're with me and the kids. Everyone else secure this house. We're coming back." "What are you doing, Forge?" Ghost asked quietly. "What needs to be done?" He walked to his bike where Noah and Emma waited. Both children looked terrified all over again. "Is Mommy going to be okay?" Emma asked. "The doctors are going to help her. We're going to follow and make sure she's okay." "What if she dies?" Noah's voice was flat. "Dad left. Mom's dying. What happens to us?" Forge knelt down so he was eye level with both children. "Listen to me, both of you. I don't know what's going to happen tonight. I don't know if your mom's going to be okay. I can't promise you a happy ending because life doesn't always give us those. But I can promise you this. Whatever happens, you're not going to face it alone. Not tonight, not tomorrow, not ever again." "Why?" Noah demanded. "You don't know us. Why would you help us?" Forge took a long breath. "Because a long time ago, someone needed help and nobody came. And I've spent every day since then wishing I could go back and change that. I can't change the past, but I can change right now. And right now you need help. So, I'm here." Noah stared at him for a long moment. Then slowly he nodded. Okay, let's go see your mom." Tank put Emma on his bike, securing her in front of him. Forge did the same with Noah. The boy's arms wrapped tight around Forge's waist. "Hold on, kid. We're going fast." "I'm not scared," Noah said, but his arms tightened. They tore down the dirt path and onto the highway, chasing the fading sound of sirens. At the hospital, chaos resumed. Sarah was rushed into the emergency room. A nurse tried to stop the bikers from entering. Family only in the ER waiting area. "These are her children," Forge said. "And you are. I'm the guy who found them starving in a house with an unconscious mother and a father who vanished into thin air. So either you let me stay with these kids, or you explain to CPS why you separated traumatized minors from their only support system." The nurse's eyes widened. She stepped aside. They waited. Hours stretched like taffy. Emma fell asleep in Tank's lap, exhausted, beyond the point of consciousness. Noah fought sleep, his eyes fixed on the ER doors. "She's going to make it," he muttered more to himself than anyone. "She has to make it. She's the only one who didn't leave." A doctor emerged just after midnight, Dr. Amara Singh, according to her badge. She was young, but her eyes were old. "Family of Sarah Brooks." Forge stood. "That's us." Dr. Singh looked at the leather-clad bikers, at the sleeping child, at the boy who was clearly running on fumes and determination. "She's stable. The diabetic ketoacidosis was severe. Her blood sugar was over 500 when she came in. We've got her on IV insulin and fluids. She's not out of the woods yet, but she's fighting. She's going to need to stay in the ICU for at least a few days, possibly longer." Noah made a sound somewhere between a sob and a laugh. "She's okay. She's really okay. She's alive," Dr. Singh said carefully. "The next 24 hours are critical, but yes, right now, she's alive." Noah's legs gave out. Forge caught him before he hit the floor. "Easy, kid. Easy. You heard her. Your mom's fighting." "I thought she was dead," Noah whispered. "When she wouldn't wake up, I thought I'd killed her somehow. Like maybe I didn't do something I was supposed to do. Like it was my fault." "This isn't your fault. None of this is your fault." Forge's voice was fierce. "You hear me? You did everything right. Everything. Your mom is alive because you and your sister didn't give up, because Emma walked miles in the dark to find help, because you kept your family together when any grown man would have fallen apart. This isn't your fault. It's your victory." Noah broke down completely then. Days of terror and responsibility and starvation finally catching up with him. He cried in Forge's arms, ugly, raw, desperate tears that shook his whole body. Tank watched from across the waiting room, Emma still asleep against his chest. His eyes were wet. He didn't try to hide it. Dr. Singh observed the scene quietly. When Noah's sobs finally slowed, she spoke again. There's something else. Child Protective Services has been notified. In cases of child endangerment. It's not endangerment, Noah said, immediately panic rising. Mom didn't hurt us. She loves us. She just got sick. I know, sweetheart. But when children are found in unsafe conditions, we have protocols. A caseworker will be here in the morning to assess the situation. Forge's jaw tightened. And what does that mean for the kids tonight? They can stay in the hospital. We have a family room, but they'll need supervision. If there's no family member available, I'll stay, Forge said. I'm not leaving them. Dr. Singh studied him, the leather vest, the tattoos, the hard eyes. Are you a relative? Does it matter? It matters to CPS. Then tell them I'm their uncle. Their long-lost uncle who just found out his sister was dying and his niece and nephew were starving because his piece of shit brother-in-law abandoned them. Tell them whatever you need to tell them, but I'm not leaving these kids alone. Something shifted in Dr. Singh's expression. Respect, maybe, or recognition. The family room is down the hall, third door on the left. There's a couch that folds out. I'll make sure no one disturbs you tonight. Thank you. She nodded once and disappeared back through the ER doors. The family room was small but clean. A couch, 2 chairs, a television mounted on the wall. Tank laid Emma on the couch without waking her. Forge guided Noah to one of the chairs. You should sleep, kid. I can't. What if something happens? What if she gets worse? If anything changes, the doctors will tell us. But you're no good to your mom or your sister if you collapse. You've been strong long enough. Let someone else be strong for a while. Noah's eyes, so much older than 9, searched Forge's face. Why are you doing this? Really? Forge sat down heavily in the other chair. I had a son once. Still do technically, but he won't talk to me. I wasn't there for him when he needed me. I was too broken, too selfish, too lost in my own pain. I let him down. Let him grow up without a father because I couldn't get my act together. He paused. I can't go back and fix that. But maybe I can be here for someone else. Maybe that counts for something. Noah was quiet for a long time. I used to pray for my dad to come back, he finally said. Every night. I thought if I prayed hard enough, God would make him come home. But he didn't. And then I stopped praying because I figured God wasn't listening. Maybe God sent us instead. Noah almost smiled. Almost. Weird angels. The weirdest. Now sleep. Doctor's orders. Noah's eyes finally closed. Within minutes, his breathing deepened. The exhaustion had won. Forge sat in the dim room listening to 2 children sleep. Outside, the rest of his crew waited in the parking lot, refusing to leave until they knew everyone was safe. His phone buzzed. A text from Ghost. House is secured. Found some things. You're going to want to see them, but it can wait until morning. Forge typed back, what kind of things? The dad didn't just leave. He cleaned them out. Bank accounts, car, everything. And there's more. I think he's wanted. Forge felt the cold anger settle into his bones. The kind of anger that had driven him through 3 combat tours. The kind that didn't burn hot, it froze solid and waited. Find out everything you can. Already on it. Forge put the phone away and looked at the sleeping children. Whatever came next, CPS hospitals, courts the missing father, he'd face it. They all would. Because some debts could never be repaid. And some promises once made could never be broken. A 6-year-old girl had stumbled out of the darkness with bleeding feet and a desperate plea. And for once in his miserable life, Marcus Forge Stone was going to answer. Forge didn't sleep that night. He sat in the dim family room watching the children breathe. Every few hours, a nurse would peek in, check on them, and leave without a word. Dr. Singh had made good on her promise no one disturbed them. Around 4 a.m., Emma woke up screaming. Mommy, Mommy, where are you? Forge was at her side in an instant. Hey, Emma, it's okay, you're safe. Where's my mommy? Emma's eyes were wild, unfocused. I want my mommy. She's here, sweetheart. She's in the hospital. The doctors are taking care of her. I want to see her. I want to see her now. Noah stirred in his chair, groggy but alert. Emmy, it's okay. We're at the hospital. Remember the bikers brought us. Emma's breathing slowed. Her eyes found Noah, then Forge, then the unfamiliar room. I had a bad dream, she whispered. Daddy came back, but he was mean. He yelled at Mommy and made her cry. Forge felt his jaw clench. Your daddy's not here, just us, and we're not going anywhere. Tank appeared in the doorway. He'd been standing guard outside all night. Everything okay? Nightmare, Forge said quietly. Tank walked over and crouched beside Emma. For such a massive man, he moved with surprising gentleness. You know what I do when I have bad dreams? Emma shook her head. I think about something that makes me happy, something good. Can you think of something good? Emma considered this seriously. Pancakes. Mommy makes pancakes on Sundays, with the faces on them. Pancake faces. That sounds amazing. Noah always eats the eyes first. It's gross. Hey, Noah protested weakly. The eyes are the best part. Tank grinned. Tell you what, when your mom gets better, I'll make you pancakes too. Big ones, with faces. You can cook? I can cook exactly one thing, pancakes, but I'm really good at it. Emma almost smiled. Okay, but they have to have smiley faces. Deal? She settled back against the couch, her eyes already drooping. Within minutes, she was asleep again. Forge looked at Tank. Pancakes. My daughter loved them. Tank's voice was rough. Before her mom took her and left. I didn't know you had a daughter. There's a lot you don't know about me, boss. Tank straightened up. Ghost texted. CPS worker arrives at 8. We've got 4 hours to figure out how to keep these kids together. We're not letting them separate them. Might not be our call. Then we make it our call. The next few hours were a blur of preparation. Ghost arrived at 6 with coffee and information. Derek Brooks, Ghost said, spreading papers across a small table in the hallway. Age 36. 3 outstanding warrants: fraud in Kentucky, theft in Georgia, failure to pay child support in Tennessee. He didn't just leave his family, he systematically drained them. How bad? He emptied their joint bank account the day before he left. $12,000. Took her car, it was in both names, so technically not theft. Maxed out 3 credit cards in her name. She didn't even know about 2 of them. Forge's hands curled into fists. Where is he now? Working on it. Razor's got contacts. We'll find him. When we do it right, Ghost interrupted. Legal. By the book. You go vigilante on this guy, you lose any chance of helping these kids. CPS will use it against you. Forge knew Ghost was right. Didn't make it easier. What else do we need to know before CPS gets here? Sarah Brooks has no living relatives. Parents died in a car accident 8 years ago. Only child. Derek's family is in Florida. His mother's got dementia. Father's been dead for 15 years. No siblings. These kids have literally nobody. They have us. Ghost hesitated. Forge, I need you to understand something. CPS isn't going to hand 2 kids over to a motorcycle club. It doesn't work that way. Then we change how it works. That's not... I don't care what's possible. I care what's necessary. Those kids are not going into the system. They're not getting separated. Figure it out. Ghost stared at him for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. I'll make some calls. At 7:30, Dr. Singh found Forge in the hallway. Sarah's awake. Barely but awake. She's asking for her children. Forge felt something loosen in his chest. Can they see her? Briefly. She's still very weak, but she needs to know they're safe. Forge woke Noah and Emma gently. Both children snapped to alertness the moment they heard the news. Mommy's awake. She wants to see you, but you have to be calm, okay? She's still sick. We don't want to tire her out. They walked through the hospital corridors, Forge in his leather vest, 2 children clutching his hands, Tank bringing up the rear like a protective shadow. Nurses stared. Doctors double-taked. Nobody said a word. Sarah's room was small and full of beeping machines. She lay propped up on pillows, tubes running into her arms, monitors tracking every heartbeat. Her eyes were half open, glassy with exhaustion. But when she saw her children, those eyes filled with tears. "My babies. Mommy." Emma broke away from Forge and ran to the bed. Noah was right behind her. "Careful," Dr. Singh warned. "Don't jostle the IV." But Sarah didn't care about the IV. She pulled both children close with what little strength she had, burying her face in their hair. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to leave you alone. I didn't mean—" "It's okay, Mom." Noah's voice cracked. "You're okay now. That's all that matters." How long? A few days, but we managed. Emmy was really brave. She went and found help. Sarah looked up then, really seeing Forge and Tank for the first time. "Who?" "They're the bikers," Emma said proudly. "I found them on the road and they followed me home and they saved you, Mommy." Sarah's confusion was evident. "Bikers?" Forge stepped forward. "Ma'am, my name is Marcus Stone. My club found your daughter on Interstate 65 last night. She led us to your home. We got you to the hospital." "I don't understand. Why would you—" "Because she asked us to." Sarah's tears fell harder. "Thank you. Thank you. I don't know how to— I can't ever— You don't owe us anything. Just get better." Dr. Singh touched Forge's arm. "She needs rest, and the CPS worker will be here soon." "CPS?" Sarah's voice sharpened with sudden fear. "Why is CPS coming? Are they taking my children?" "It's standard procedure," Dr. Singh assured her. "Nothing to worry about." But Sarah wasn't reassured. She grabbed Noah's hand with desperate strength. "Don't let them take my babies. Please. I'll get better. I'll do whatever they want. Just don't let them—" Mom, calm down." Noah squeezed her hand. "Nobody's taking us anywhere." Forge met Sarah's eyes. "I'm going to talk to the caseworker. I'll make sure they understand the situation. Your kids are going to be right here when you wake up. I promise." "You don't even know me. Why are you doing this?" Forge didn't have a good answer. Or maybe he had too many answers and couldn't find the right one. "Because somebody should," he finally said. They left Sarah to rest. In the hallway, Noah turned to Forge with hard eyes. You promised nobody's taking us away." "I know." "Can you keep that promise?" Forge looked at this 9-year-old who'd been forced to grow up overnight, who'd shouldered burdens no child should carry, who was still fighting even when he had nothing left. "I'm going to do everything in my power to keep it." "That's not the same thing." "No, it's not, but it's the truth, and I think you've had enough lies to last a lifetime." Noah considered this. "Yeah, I have." At exactly 8 o'clock, Margaret Hayes arrived. She was in her 50s, with steel gray hair and reading glasses perched on her nose. Her pantsuit was practical, her sensible shoes silent on the hospital floor. She carried a worn leather briefcase stuffed with files. She took one look at Forge, Tank, and the children, and her expression didn't change. "I'm Margaret Hayes, Child Protective Services. I need to speak with the children and assess their situation." "They've been through hell," Forge said. "They need kindness, not assessment. What they need is to be safe. That's what I'm here to determine. They're safe with us." Margaret's eyes swept over his leather vest, his tattoos, his scarred hands. "And who exactly is us?" "Steel Guardians Motorcycle Club. We found the children last night." "A motorcycle club?" Her voice was flat. "You expect me to believe a motorcycle club is an appropriate guardian situation for 2 traumatized children? I expect you to look at those kids and see what we saw. A 9-year-old who hasn't eaten in 4 days because he gave his food to his sister. A 6-year-old who walked miles through the woods barefoot to find help. A mother dying because her husband stole everything and left them to starve. I expect you to look at all of that and understand that sometimes appropriate isn't what matters. Sometimes what matters is who shows up." Margaret studied him for a long moment. "You're very passionate." "I'm very tired. There's a difference." Something almost like a smile flickered across her face. "Mr. Stone, I've been doing this job for 23 years. I've seen every kind of situation you can imagine, and some you can't. I've seen children in conditions that still give me nightmares. I've also seen well-meaning people make situations worse because they didn't understand the system. Then help us understand it. That's what I'm here to do. She turned to the children. Noah, Emma. I'd like to talk to you, just for a few minutes. Would that be okay? Emma pressed closer to Tank. Noah stepped in front of his sister. We're not going anywhere without them. I'm not asking you to go anywhere. I just want to talk. Right here. You can stay in the hallway if you want. Your friends will be right outside. Noah looked at Forge. Should we trust her? Forge crouched down to his level. I think we should give her a chance. If she tries anything I don't like, I'll stop it. But she's trying to help in her own way. Let her try. Noah's jaw tightened. Then he nodded once. Fine, but Emma stays with me. Of course. Margaret gestured toward a small waiting area with chairs. Shall we? Forge watched them walk away. Tank moved to stand beside him. You really think she's going to let us help? I don't know, but we're going to find out. Ghost appeared at Forge's elbow. I made those calls, got a lawyer coming, should be here within the hour. What kind of lawyer? Family law specialist. Owes me a favor from way back. If there's a legal way to make this work, she'll find it. And if there isn't, Ghost didn't answer. He didn't need to. 20 minutes passed, then 30. Forge paced the hallway like a caged animal. Every few minutes he'd look toward the waiting area where Margaret sat with the children, her voice too low to hear. Finally, she emerged. Her expression was unreadable. Mr. Stone, a word. They stepped into an empty room. Margaret closed the door. Those children have been through significant trauma. The father's abandonment, the mother's medical crisis, days of food insecurity. This isn't something that resolves quickly. We know that. The mother's recovery will take weeks, possibly months. She'll need ongoing medical care, mental health support, a stable living situation. Right now, she has none of those things. The house is uninhabitable. She has no income, no vehicle, no family support. We can help with all of that. A motorcycle club. A group of veterans, former soldiers, medics, law enforcement, men who've served their country and know how to serve their community. Margaret's eyebrow raised. That's an interesting way to describe a biker gang. We're not a gang. We're a club. There's a difference. Enlighten me. Forge took a breath. Gangs exist to take. We exist to give. Every member of my club has served in the military. We ride together because it helps us deal with what we've been through. We do charity rides for veterans' causes. We're not perfect. Some of us have made mistakes, done time, hit bottom hard. But we pulled ourselves back up, and we help each other stay standing. That's a lovely speech. It's not a speech, it's the truth. Margaret was quiet for a moment. I've been doing this job long enough to know that unconventional solutions sometimes work better than traditional ones. The system isn't perfect. Foster care isn't perfect. Sometimes children slip through cracks that the system was supposed to prevent. So what are you saying? I'm saying that those children clearly feel safe with you. They trust you in a way that surprised me given how recently you came into their lives. Emma specifically asked me to let the big man stay because he promised her pancakes. Despite everything, Forge almost smiled. That's Tank. The mother needs stability and support. The children need consistency and care. If you can provide those things, and I mean really provide them, not just a temporary burst of good intentions, then I'm willing to work with you. What do you need from us? Background checks on everyone involved. A stable residence for the children while the mother recovers. Financial support documentation. A plan for the mother's ongoing care. And someone willing to be legally responsible for the children's welfare. I'll do it. I'll be responsible. You specifically. Me specifically. Margaret studied him. Why I've been asking myself that since I walked in here. What's really driving this? Forge was quiet for a long moment. I had a son. Still have him technically, but he won't talk to me. I wasn't there for him when he needed me. I let my own demons destroy my family. I've spent years trying to make up for that, and I never could because you can't undo the past. You can only change the present. He met her eyes. Those kids needed someone to show up. We showed up. Now we're going to keep showing up. Not because it makes me feel better about myself, because it's right. Margaret nodded slowly. I'll need those background checks by end of day tomorrow. The resident's situation needs to be addressed immediately. The children cannot return to that house in its current condition. We'll handle it. I hope so, Mr. Stone. Because if you let those children down after everything they've been through, I will personally ensure you never forget it. Fair enough. She handed him a business card. My direct line. Call me with updates. And Mr. Stone. Yeah. Don't make me regret giving you a chance. She walked away, heels clicking on the linoleum. Tank and Ghost materialized beside Forge. Well, Tank asked. We've got a shot, but we need to move fast. Background checks, housing situation, financial support. She wants it all by tomorrow. Tomorrow, Ghost whistled. That's tight. Then we get it done. Call everyone in. This is all hands on deck. Within an hour, the entire Steel Guardians Club had assembled in the hospital parking lot. 10 men in leather chrome gleaming in the morning sun. Forge addressed them from the steps. You all know why we're here. You know what we found last night. Those kids have nobody. Their mom's in there fighting for her life. Their dad abandoned them and left them to starve. CPS is giving us a chance to help, but we have to prove we're serious. That means background checks, which means some of you might have problems. Razor stepped forward. I've got a record. Assault charge 8 years ago. So do I, Bishop added. Bar fight in '09. DUI, Scotch admitted. Before I got sober. Forge nodded. I know. We've all got history. But history isn't the same as the present. The caseworker wants to see who we are now, not who we were then. Ghost, can we work with this? The lawyer's on her way. She'll know how to present it. Well, what about the house? Wraith asked. I saw it last night. It's a disaster. We fix it, Forge said. Today, we've got builders, carpenters guys who can swing a hammer. We strip it down to the bones and build it back up. In one day, in however long it takes, but we don't stop until it's done, until those kids have a home to come back to. Colt raised his hand. I've got money saved. Not a lot, but some, for the supplies. I've got more, Preacher said. And I know some guys who'll donate materials. One by one, the club members pledged what they had. Money, time, skills, connections. Men who had nothing gave everything. Forge felt something shift in his chest. Pride, maybe, or hope. Something he hadn't felt in a long time. All right, here's the plan. Hawk, Scotch, Bishop, you're on house detail. Get there, assess what we need, start working. Wraith, Colt, supplies. Whatever they need, you get it. Ghost stays with me for legal. Tank stays with the kids. Everyone else back up. We move, we communicate, we get it done. What about the father? Razor asked quietly. Forge's expression hardened. Razor, you're on that. Find him. But listen to me carefully, we do this right. Legal. By the book. No matter how much we want to handle it ourselves. These kids come first. Understood? Understood. Then let's move. The bikers dispersed with military precision. Engines roared, bikes scattered in different directions. A mission had been given, and they would complete it. Back inside the hospital, Noah was waiting. What happened? What did she say? Forge crouched down. She's giving us a chance, but we have to prove we're serious. My guys are heading to your house right now to start fixing it up. Fixing it up? How? We're going to make it safe again, clean, somewhere your mom can recover, somewhere you and Emma can live without worrying. Noah's tough facade cracked. You're really doing all this for us. I told you. You're not alone anymore. But why I keep asking and I don't understand. We're nobody. We don't have anything. We can't pay you back. Forge put a hand on Noah's shoulder. You know what I did before I started riding with these guys? I was a soldier. I spent years in places where nobody wanted to be doing things nobody wanted to do. And the only thing that kept me going was my brothers, the men beside me. We took care of each other because that's what you do. That's what family does. We're not your family. Not yet. But family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up when things get hard. And we showed up. Noah's eyes glistened. Dad used to say he'd always be there for us. He lied. I'm not your dad. How do I know you won't lie too? You don't, not yet. But I'm going to spend every day proving it. And one day you'll stop waiting for me to leave, because I won't. Tank appeared at the end of the hallway. Forge, we've got a problem. Forge straightened. What? Hospital administrator. He's asking questions about who's paying for Sarah's care. She doesn't have insurance. Forge's jaw tightened. Another obstacle. Another battle. Stay with the kids. I'll handle it. He found the administrator in his office, a thin man with nervous eyes and a bad comb-over. Mr. Stone, I understand you're involved with the Brooks family. That's right. Mrs. Brooks' treatment is extensive. ICU care, IV medications, monitoring. We're looking at potentially tens of thousands of dollars. And according to our records, she has no insurance coverage. What happens if she can't pay? Well, we have an obligation to stabilize patients regardless of ability to pay. But once she's stable, if there's no payment plan in place, she gets discharged before she's ready. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Forge leaned forward. How much total? What are we looking at? The administrator checked his files. Based on current projections, $40,000 to $60,000. Possibly more if there are complications. Forge didn't flinch. I'll cover it. Excuse me. I'll cover the cost. Whatever it takes. Set up a payment plan, I'll sign it. Mr. Stone, that's a significant financial commitment. Are you certain? I'm certain those kids aren't losing their mother because of money. Set it up. The administrator stared at him for a long moment. Then slowly he nodded. I'll have the paperwork ready within the hour. Forge walked out with a weight on his shoulders he hadn't anticipated. $60,000. He didn't have $60,000. The club didn't have $60,000. But he'd figure it out. Somehow. Ghost found him in the corridor. Lawyer's here. Victoria Chen. She's good, Forge. Really good. I hope so, because we're going to need a miracle. Victoria Chen was a sharp-faced woman in an expensive suit. She listened to the entire story without interruption, taking notes on a legal pad. When Forge finished, she set down her pen. This is complicated, but not impossible. What do we need to do? First, we establish you as a stable support system. The background check issue, I can work with that. Military service, veteran status, community involvement. We frame the narrative correctly. Second, we address the housing situation. CPS needs to see improvement immediately. Third, we start documentation for emergency guardianship. Not permanent, just temporary while the mother recovers. And the father, if he's wanted on warrants, that actually helps us. It establishes abandonment, removes him from consideration for custody, and provides grounds for emergency family intervention. She looked at Forge. Finding him is important. Where's your man on that? Working on it. Tell him to work faster. The sooner we locate Derek Brooks, the sooner we can remove him as a legal factor. Forge's phone buzzed. A text from Razor. Found him. Memphis. Got eyes on him now. Forge showed the message to Victoria. Your man works fast. What do we do? Nothing vigilante. We call the police, provide his location, let them handle the arrest. Then we use that arrest to accelerate the custody proceedings. How long? If everything goes perfectly, a few weeks. Realistically, a few months. The system doesn't move fast, Mr. Stone, but I'll push every lever I can. Those kids don't have months. I understand, which is why we're going to establish you as an emergency foster contact. Temporary placement while the permanent situation gets resolved. Can you handle that? Yes. Then let's get started. Hours passed in a blur of paperwork, phone calls, and coordination. Victoria made calls to judges expediting requests. Ghost handled background check submissions. The crew at the house reported progress, walls, stripped floors, cleaned, structure sound. By late afternoon, Forge was running on coffee and determination, but they were making progress. Then Razor called. We've got a problem. What kind of problem? Derek isn't alone. He's got a girlfriend down here, and she's pregnant. 7 months along. Forge's blood ran cold. He started a new family, while his kids were starving. Gets worse. I did some digging. This isn't his second family. It's his fourth. There are 2 other women, 2 other kids he abandoned. Same pattern every time. Stay until things get hard, then disappear. Does the girlfriend know? She does now. I may have shared some information with her. Razor, I didn't touch him, didn't threaten him, just told her the truth. She threw him out. And where is he now? Trying to get a bus ticket, probably running again. Call the police. Give them his exact location. I want him in custody before he can disappear. Already done. They're on their way. Forge ended the call and turned to Victoria. Derek Brooks is about to be arrested. Multiple warrants, multiple abandoned families. This man is a predator. Victoria's expression hardened. Then we make sure he never has access to these children again. I'll start filing for termination of parental rights immediately. At 6 p.m., Margaret Hayes returned for a follow-up visit. Forge met her in the hallway outside Sarah's room. I have updates, he said. So do I. Go first. Derek Brooks was arrested in Memphis 1 hour ago. Multiple outstanding warrants. And we discovered he's done this before abandoned families in at least 3 states. We have a lawyer filing for termination of parental rights. Margaret's eyebrows rose. You've been busy. We don't stop until it's done. And the housing situation? My crew's been working all day. The structure is sound. They're cleaning, repairing, making it safe. We should have it habitable by tomorrow night. Financial support. I'm covering the hospital bills personally, and we're setting up a fund for ongoing expenses. Margaret studied him for a long moment. You know, Mr. Stone, in 23 years, I've never seen anything quite like this. A motorcycle club mobilizing like a military operation to save 2 children they'd never met. We're not doing anything special. We're doing what anyone should do. That's where you're wrong. Most people would have called 911 and driven away. Most people don't get involved. You didn't just get involved, you committed. There's a difference. Does that mean you'll support us? Margaret reached into her briefcase and pulled out a document. Emergency foster placement authorization. Pending completion of background checks and home inspection, you'll have temporary legal guardianship of Noah and Emma Brooks until their mother is recovered and the permanent situation is determined. Forge stared at the paper. You're serious. I never joke about children's welfare, Mr. Stone. But understand this, I'll be watching. Regular visits, progress reports, the works. If anything goes wrong, it won't. It better not. She handed him a pen. Forge signed his name with a steady hand. One more thing, Margaret said as she gathered her papers. The children asked about you while I was interviewing them. Specifically, they asked if you were going to stay. What did you tell them? I told them I didn't know, but I hoped so, because they've had too many people leave already. She walked away, leaving Forge alone in the corridor with a document that changed everything. He looked down at his signature, at the legal weight it now carried. Then he walked to Sarah's room. Noah and Emma were inside, sitting on either side of their mother's bed. Tank stood guard by the door. Hey, Forge said softly. How's she doing? Better, Noah said. The doctor said her numbers are improving. That's good. That's really good. Forge paused. Listen, I have news. The lady from CPS, she's going to let you stay with us, temporarily, while your mom gets better. Emma's face lit up. Really? We get to stay with you? If that's okay with you. Noah's expression was harder to read. What does that mean exactly? It means when your mom's ready to leave the hospital, you'll have a home to go to. A real home. We're fixing up your house right now, and until then, you'll stay with me and the club. We'll take care of you. And when mom gets better, then you'll be a family again. All 3 of you, in your house, safe. Noah was quiet for a moment. Then he stood up and walked to Forge. I don't trust Easy. Not anymore. I know. But Emma trusts you, and she's usually right about people. What about you? Noah looked up at him. I'm going to give you a chance. But if you hurt us, if you leave like Dad did, I'll never forgive you. Fair enough? Okay then. Noah stuck out his hand. Partners. Forge took the small hand in his. Partners. Behind them, Sarah's weak voice called out. Noah, what's happening? Noah turned back to his mother with the first real smile Forge had seen from him. "We're going to be okay, Mom. We found our people." Sarah's eyes met Forge's across the room. Tears streamed down her hollow cheeks. "Thank you," she whispered. Forge nodded once. Then he stepped back into the hallway, pulling out his phone. He had a house to rebuild, a father to prosecute, a family to protect, and for the first time in years, a reason to believe that maybe, just maybe, some broken things could be fixed. The phone rang at 3 a.m. Forge grabbed it before the second ring, his body trained from years of midnight alerts. "What? It's Razor. Derek made bail." Forge sat up suddenly, wide awake. "What do you mean he made bail? He had multiple warrants." "Someone paid it. 20,000 cash. He walked out of Memphis County Jail 45 minutes ago." "Who paid it?" "Working on that, but Forge, he's gone. We lost him." Forge threw off the covers and grabbed his boots. How the hell does a man with no money post 20,000 in bail? "He's got help. Someone's backing him." "Find out who, and find out where he's going." "Already on it, but there's something else." "What?" Before he posted bail, he made a phone call to a lawyer named Vincent Mercer. Forge's blood went cold. Vincent Mercer was notorious in Tennessee, a lawyer who specialized in getting custody for deadbeat fathers. He'd built his career arguing that mothers were unfit, that children belonged with their fathers regardless of circumstances. He won more than he lost. Derek's coming for the kids. That's what I'm thinking. He abandoned them. He left them to starve. How can he possibly? Mercer doesn't care about facts. He cares about winning. And right now, Derek's got someone with deep pockets backing his play. Forge was already heading for the door. "I want to know who's funding this. Tonight. I'll have answers by morning." Forge ended the call and immediately dialed Victoria Chen. She answered on the fourth ring, her voice sharp despite the hour. "This better be important. Derek Brooks made bail. He's hired Vincent Mercer." Silence. Then, "That changes things." "How bad?" "Mercer is good, very good. He'll argue that Derek was suffering from mental health issues, that he's since received treatment, that the mother's medical crisis proves she's unfit. He'll twist everything. Can he win? In Tennessee family court with the right judge, yes, he can. Then we stop him. How? That's what I'm paying you for. Figure it out." He hung up and stared at the dark window. Somewhere out there, a man who'd left his children to die was plotting to take them back. Not because he loved them, because they were leverage, because they were property, because someone was paying him to fight. But who and why? By 6 a.m., Forge had assembled the core team at the hospital. Tank hadn't left Emma's side all night. Ghost had dark circles under his eyes from researching. Wraith paced like a caged animal. "Talk to me," Forge said. Ghost spread papers across a waiting room table. Derek's backer is his father's former business partner, a man named Raymond Cross. Real estate developer worth about $30 million. And here's the connection: Cross was in a bitter dispute with Derek's father before he died. Lost a lawsuit, had to pay out $2 million. So why's he helping Derek? Because Derek's father's estate is still tied up in probate. There's money, not a lot, maybe $200,000, but if Derek gets custody of the kids, he gains control of their inheritance, and Cross has a side deal with him. Derek's selling his kids' inheritance. Essentially, Cross gets the money he lost back, Derek gets enough to disappear, and the kids get screwed. Wraith slammed her fist against the wall. "I'll kill him. I swear to God I'll—" "No." Forge's voice was iron. "We do this right. Ghost, how do we prove the connection between Cross and Derek? I've got bank records showing payments, but getting them admitted in court is another matter. Victoria can handle that. What else?" Mercer's already filed emergency motions. He's claiming Sarah is mentally unstable, that her diabetes was caused by substance abuse, that she deliberately neglected her children. That's a lie. Doesn't matter. In family court, accusations stick. You have to disprove them, and that takes time. How much time? Hearings scheduled for 3 days from now. 3 days. They had 3 days to destroy a case that a millionaire and a ruthless lawyer had been building in secret. Forge's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Walk away, Mr. Stone. These children aren't worth dying for." He showed it to the group. "They're threatening you now." Tank's voice was a growl. "Means we're getting close." Forge typed a reply. "Neither are you." He hit send. "What do we need?" he asked the group. "To win this thing. What do we actually need?" Ghost thought for a moment. "Character witnesses. People who can testify that Sarah's a good mother, that Derek abandoned them, that the kids are thriving under your care." "We have those. Dr. Singh, Margaret Hayes, the neighbors." "Not enough. Mercer will tear them apart. We need someone who can speak to Derek's pattern of behavior, someone from his past." "The other families," Wraith said suddenly. "You said he's done this before. Abandoned other women, other children. At least 2 that we know of, Kentucky and Georgia. Find them. Get them to testify." Ghost nodded slowly. "That could work. If we can establish a pattern of abandonment, it destroys his narrative." "Then do it. Whatever it takes." Forge looked at Tank. "How are the kids?" Emma finally slept through the night. Noah's still watching the door like he expects someone to come through it. Smart kid. Too smart. He knows something's wrong. Forge walked to Sarah's room. She was sitting up now, still pale but stronger. The tubes had been reduced. Her eyes were clearer. "Mr. Stone." Her voice was soft but steady. "They told me what's happening. About Derek. We're handling it. He'll take my babies. He'll take them just to hurt me. No, he won't. You don't know him like I do." Sarah's hands twisted in her lap. "He's not just neglectful. He's cruel. He enjoys watching people suffer. When things got hard, he didn't just leave. He made sure we couldn't survive without him. He took everything. Emptied accounts I didn't even know about. Left bills in my name. He wanted us to fail. Why? Because I told him I was thinking of leaving him 6 months ago. I said I wasn't happy, that the kids weren't happy, that maybe we should separate. He smiled at me, this cold, empty smile, and he said, 'You'll never leave me because you'll have nothing without me.' He planned this. I think so. When I got sick, when I couldn't work, when the money ran out, he saw his chance. He could leave and make it look like I fell apart, like I was the problem." Forge sat down in the chair beside her bed. "Sarah, listen to me. That man is never going to touch your children again. I don't care how much money he has behind him, how good his lawyer is, how many lies he tells. We are going to fight this, and we are going to win." "How can you be so sure?" "Because I've been fighting my whole life, and I've never had anything worth fighting for. Until now." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "Why, I still don't understand. We're strangers. My son won't talk to me. He's 18 years old, and the last time I saw him, he told me he wished I'd died in Iraq instead of coming home broken. He was right to say it. I wasn't a father to him. I was a ghost who showed up and made everything worse." Forge's voice cracked. "I can't fix that. I can't go back and be the father he needed. But maybe I can be something for someone else. Maybe that counts for something." Sarah reached out and took his hand. Her grip was weak but warm. "It counts," she whispered. "It counts." At noon, Mercer made his move. A process server appeared at the hospital demanding to speak with Sarah Brooks. He carried papers for an emergency custody hearing plus a restraining order against the Steel Guardians. Forge intercepted him in the hallway. "She's recovering from a medical crisis. You're not serving her anything." "Sir, I'm legally required to, and I'm legally telling you that serving a patient in the ICU without doctor's approval is harassment. You want to explain to a judge why you caused a diabetic patient to relapse?" The server hesitated. Victoria Chen appeared at Forge's side, heels clicking. "I'll take those." She plucked the papers from his hand, scanned them quickly. "Emergency motion for temporary custody based on claims of maternal unfitness. Interesting timing. Ma'am, I need confirmation of service." "You'll get it. After I've reviewed these with my client's medical team. Now leave before I file a complaint." The server retreated. Victoria turned to Forge. "Mercer's moving fast. He wants to catch us unprepared." "Is he going to succeed?" "Not if I can help it." She handed him the papers. "But we need those witnesses, the other families. Can your people deliver?" "They'll deliver." Ghost was already on a plane to Kentucky. Razor had located the Georgia family. The race was on. That afternoon, Noah approached Forge in the waiting room. "I heard the nurses talking," the boy said. "About a lawyer, see, about my dad trying to get us back." Forge considered lying, considered protecting him from the truth. He didn't. "Yes, your dad hired a lawyer. He's trying to get custody." Noah's face went pale, then hard. "He left us. He left us to die. How can he—" "The court doesn't know that yet. His lawyer is going to tell lies, make it sound like your mom was the problem." "That's not true." "I know, and we're going to prove it. But I need you to understand something, Noah. This is going to be hard. There might be a hearing. You might have to talk to a judge, tell them what really happened." "I'll do it." "You don't have to." "I said I'll do it." Noah's voice was fierce. "Dad thinks he can take us. After everything. He doesn't know who he's messing with." Forge almost smiled. "No, he doesn't. What do you need me to do?" "For now, take care of your sister. Be strong for her. Don't let her see you scared." "I'm not scared." "Yes, you are. And that's okay." "Brave isn't about not being scared. Remember," Noah nodded slowly, "it's about doing what needs to be done anyway." "That's right. Then I'll be brave. For Emmy. For Mom." He walked back to his mother's room with his shoulders squared, looking older than any 9-year-old should. Forge watched him go and made a silent promise. No one was taking that kid, not while he was still breathing. At 6 p.m., Ghost called from Kentucky. "Found her, Lisa Dawson, Derek's second wife. She's willing to talk." "What's her story?" "Same pattern. Married her young, had a kid. Things got hard, he disappeared. Cleaned out their accounts first. She lost her house. Spent 2 years homeless with a toddler." "Where's the kid now?" "Teenager, living with Lisa's parents. She never recovered financially, but she survived. And Forge, she's angry. Really angry. She wants to testify." "Get her here." "Already booked flights. She'll be in Tennessee tomorrow morning." "What about Georgia?" "Razor's working on it. That one's more complicated. The woman remarried doesn't want to dig up the past. Make her understand what's at stake." "We're trying." That night, Emma woke up crying again. Tank was there immediately, but she pushed him away. "I want my mommy. I want my real mommy." Tank looked helpless. For all his size and strength, he couldn't fix this. Couldn't hold together a family that had been shattered long before he arrived. Forge stepped in. "Emma, hey, look at me." She looked up, tears streaming. "Do you remember what I promised you that first night? You said you wouldn't leave." "That's right. And I'm still here. Your mom is still here. Noah is still here. We're all still here. Nothing's going to change that." "But the man said Dad wants us back." "I don't want to go with Daddy. He's mean. He yelled at Mommy. He made her cry." "You're not going anywhere with him. I promise." "You can't promise that." "Adults always break promises." The words hit Forge like a physical blow. 6 years old, and she'd already learned that adults couldn't be trusted. "You're right," he said quietly. "I can't promise for sure. Bad things happen sometimes, and we can't always stop them. But I can promise I'll fight. Every single day. With everything I have. And I don't lose fights, Emma. Not the ones that matter." Emma studied him with those 2 old eyes. "Do I matter?" "More than anything in the world." She reached out and wrapped her small arms around his neck. "Okay," she whispered. "I believe you." Forge held her until she fell asleep. He didn't let her see the tears in his own eyes. The next morning, Lisa Dawson arrived at the hospital. She was in her 30s but looked older, worn down by years of struggle. Her eyes had the same haunted look Forge saw in combat veterans. "You're the biker," she said. The one who found Sarah's kids. That's right. I didn't believe it when your man called. Derek always lands on his feet. Always finds some new woman to destroy. I stopped hoping someone would stop him years ago. We're going to stop him now, Lisa laughed bitterly. You don't know him. He's charming. In court, he'll seem like the perfect father. He'll cry. He'll apologize. The judge will eat it up. Then we show the court who he really is. That's why you're here. I've tried that before. Nobody believed me. They'll believe you now, because you're not alone anymore. There are others. Same story. Same pattern. When the judge sees 3 women all saying the same thing. 3. Forge nodded. Georgia victim. We're working on her. Lisa's expression shifted. Something that might have been hope flickered in her eyes. If I testify, if it works, you're really going to keep those kids safe. I'm really going to keep them safe. I have a daughter. She's 14 now. She doesn't remember him. That's the only gift he ever gave us, leaving before she could remember. Lisa took a shaky breath. I'll testify. I'll tell them everything. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Mercer's destroyed people on the stand before. I might not be strong enough. You walked out of your house with nothing but a toddler and survived 2 years homeless. You're strong enough. Lisa met his eyes. You really believe that? I really do. At 2 p.m., Razor called with bad news. Georgia woman won't testify. Her new husband doesn't want her involved. Says it'll ruin their family. Forge bit back a curse. Did you explain what's at stake? I explained everything. She's scared, Forge. Derek messed her up bad. She's got a new life now, and she won't risk it. We need her. I know, but I can't force her. Forge thought for a moment. Give me her number. You're going to call yourself... I'm going to try something else. He dialed the number. A woman answered on the 3rd ring. Who is this? My name is Marcus Stone. I'm trying to stop Derek Brooks from taking his children. Silence. I don't want to talk about him. I understand. I'm not asking you to testify. I'm asking you to listen. Listen to what? There's a 6-year-old girl named Emma. She walked 3 miles through the woods barefoot to find help because her mother was dying. Her feet were bleeding when she found us. She grabbed my jacket and whispered, "Please help me. My mother won't wake up. She's 6 years old and she saved her family because her father left them to die." The woman was quiet. There's a 9-year-old boy named Noah. He didn't eat for 4 days so his sister could have the last of the food. 4 days. A 4th grader. He held his family together through sheer willpower because no one else was there to do it. Stop. Derek did this. He's done it before to you, to Lisa Dawson, to God knows how many others. And now he's coming back. Not because he wants these kids, because he wants their money, because he wants to win. I can't, her voice cracked. You don't understand. I have a life now, a husband who doesn't know, kids who don't know. If I testify, your kids don't know. They have a half-brother somewhere, a half-sister. Please don't. I'm not judging you. I understand wanting to protect your family. But right now there are 2 children who might lose everything because the people who know the truth are too afraid to speak it. Long silence. Forge could hear her breathing ragged and uneven. I'll think about it. The hearing is in 2 days. I know. I'll think about it. The line went dead. Forge stared at his phone. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no either. He'd take it. That evening, Sarah was moved out of the ICU. Dr. Singh called it remarkable progress. Her blood sugar had stabilized, her strength was returning, her mind was clear. But she was still weak, still fragile. She needs at least 2 more weeks of recovery before she can be discharged, Dr. Singh told Forge. And even then, she'll need significant support. She'll have it. The hearing is in 2 days. Will she be able to attend? Can she physically, maybe? It would be extremely draining, but psychologically... Dr. Singh hesitated. Seeing Derek might set back her recovery significantly. Can she testify remotely? I can provide medical documentation explaining why that's necessary. Whether the judge accepts it is another matter. Another obstacle. Another battle. But they kept fighting. At 10 p.m., Victoria Chen called with unexpected news. Cross pulled his funding. Forge blinked. What? Raymond Cross. He's backed out of the deal with Derek, withdrew his financial support completely. Why? I may have had a conversation with his wife, showed her some documents regarding her husband's plans. She was unhappy. You went to his wife. Sometimes the legal approach isn't enough. Mrs. Cross had no idea her husband was funding a custody battle for a man who abandoned his children. She made her feelings very clear. Cross backed off within the hour. So Derek's on his own now. Without money, without backing, Mercer might drop the case entirely. He doesn't work for free. For the first time in days, Forge felt something like hope. What happens if Mercer drops? The emergency motion disappears. We proceed with our original plan. Sarah gets custody. You get emergency foster authorization. Derek gets nothing. It's over. Not yet. Let's see what Mercer does in the morning. But morning brought no relief. Mercer didn't drop the case. He doubled down. He's doing it pro bono now, Victoria reported, her voice tight. Taking the case for publicity. If he wins this, it establishes him as the go-to lawyer for fathers' rights nationwide. So it's not about Derek anymore. It was never about Derek. It's about winning, about proving his theory that the court system is biased against fathers. And he's using two traumatized children to make his point. Welcome to family court. The hearing was tomorrow, 24 hours to prepare for the fight of their lives. Forge gathered everyone in the hospital waiting room. Tank Ghost Wraith Razor, the whole crew. Victoria Chen with her files, Margaret Hayes with her assessment, Dr. Singh with her medical reports, Lisa Dawson with her testimony. Tomorrow we go to war, Forge said. Not with guns, with words, with truth. Derek Brooks is going to stand in front of a judge and claim he's a loving father who made mistakes. His lawyer is going to paint Sarah as unstable, us as dangerous, and the children as pawns. And what do? Tank asked. We tell the truth. We show the pattern. We demonstrate that every person in this room has done more for those kids in 1 week than Derek Brooks did in their entire lives. What if it's not enough? Wraith's voice was quiet. Then we appeal. We fight. We don't stop until those kids are safe. His phone buzzed. Unknown number again. He answered. Hello. Mr. Stone. A woman's voice, southern accent, trembling. This is Jennifer Reynolds from Georgia, the third victim. Yes. I thought about what you said, about Emma and Noah, about speaking the truth. A long pause. I'm getting on a plane tonight. I'll be at the hearing tomorrow. Forge closed his eyes. Thank you. You don't know what this means. Maybe I do. Maybe I needed to stop running. Maybe we all do. She hung up. Forge looked at his crew. We just got our third witness. Something shifted in the room. Not just hope, determination. Tomorrow they would face a man who destroyed families for sport. Tomorrow they would fight for 2 children who'd already survived more than most adults could handle. Tomorrow they would either win or lose everything. But tonight they prepared. And somewhere in the hospital, a 9-year-old boy lay awake staring at the ceiling, rehearsing what he would say to the judge. He wasn't going to let anyone take his family again. Not his dad, not the lawyers, not anybody, because he'd walked through fire to keep them together. And he wasn't done fighting yet. The courthouse steps were cold at 7 a.m. Forge stood at the bottom watching the sun rise over the building. In 2 hours, everything they'd fought for would be decided. 2 hours until a judge determined whether Noah and Emma would stay safe or be handed back to the man who'd left them to die. Tank appeared beside him. Kids are ready. Sarah's being transported by ambulance. Dr. Singh arranged it. She insisted on being there in person. Is that safe? Singh said no. Sarah said she didn't care. She's not letting her children face that man alone. Forge nodded. He understood. Some battles you couldn't fight from a hospital bed. Where are the witnesses? Lisa Dawson is in the cafe across the street. Jennifer Reynolds' flight landed an hour ago. Ghost is picking her up now. And Derek. Tank's jaw tightened. Already inside. With Mercer. They've been here since 6. Preparing their lies. Polishing them, more like. Victoria Chen arrived at 7:30, briefcase in hand, heels clicking with purpose. We have a problem. Forge turned. What kind of problem? Judge Warren. He was supposed to hear the case. He recused himself this morning, conflict of interest. We've been reassigned to Judge Patricia Morrison. Is that bad? Victoria's expression was grim. Morrison is known for favoring fathers' rights. She's ruled against mothers in 80% of contested custody cases. Mercer got to her. Not directly. But her reputation is why Mercer does so well in this jurisdiction. He knows exactly how to play her. So what do? We adapt. We hit harder. We make our case so overwhelming that even Morrison can't ignore it. Victoria met his eyes. This isn't over, Forge. It's just going to be harder than we thought. At 8:30, Sarah arrived. She was in a wheelchair, pale and thin, but her eyes burned with determination. Noah walked beside her, holding her hand. Emma sat in her lap, arms wrapped around her mother's neck. I'm here, Sarah said quietly. Whatever happens, I'm here. Forge crouched down to her level. You shouldn't have come. You're not strong enough. I'm strong enough for this. My children need to see me fight. Sarah, Mr. Stone. Her voice was steel beneath the weakness. Derek took everything from me. My money, my health, my faith in people. He will not take my children. Not while I'm still breathing. Forge looked at her, this woman who'd been broken and abandoned, who'd nearly died alone while her children starved. And he saw something he recognized. A warrior. Battered, but unbroken. Then let's go win this, he said. The courtroom was small and cold. Forge had faced combat zones that felt more welcoming. Derek Brooks sat at the plaintiff's table with Mercer. He was clean-shaven, wearing a suit that probably cost more than Sarah made in a month. His expression was perfectly crafted, remorseful, hopeful, sympathetic. He didn't look at his children. He didn't look at Sarah. He looked at Forge and smiled. It was the smile of a predator who thought he'd already won. Forge smiled back. The smile of a man who'd killed predators before. Judge Morrison entered at exactly 9 a.m. She was in her 60s, silver-haired with reading glasses perched on her nose. Her face was a mask of professional neutrality. This court is now in session. In the matter of Brooks versus Brooks emergency motion for custody modification. Mr. Mercer, you may proceed. Mercer stood buttoning his jacket with practiced ease. Your Honor, thank you for hearing this matter so expeditiously. My client Derek Brooks comes before you today not as a perfect man, but as a father desperate to reunite with his children after a terrible mistake. He walked toward the center of the room, his voice dropping to a confidential tone. We've all made mistakes. We've all done things we regret. Mr. Brooks acknowledges that leaving his family was wrong. He acknowledges that his mental health struggles led him to make a devastating choice. But he has since sought treatment. He has addressed his issues. And now he wants nothing more than to be a father to Noah and Emma. Forge watched the judge's face. She was listening intently. The children's mother, Sarah Brooks, is currently hospitalized with severe diabetes-related complications. She was found unconscious by strangers. Her children were discovered malnourished, living in squalor. This is not the environment. Objection. Victoria was on her feet. Counsel is misrepresenting the facts. Mrs. Brooks' medical crisis was directly caused by her husband's abandonment, which left her without resources or medication. Your Honor, I'm simply presenting. Save it for your examination, Mr. Mercer. Continue, but stick to facts. Mercer inclined his head. Of course, Your Honor. My point is simply this. The children need stability. They need a parent who can provide for them. Mr. Brooks has employment housing and the resources to give them the life they deserve. What employment? Victoria interjected. What housing? Your client was arrested on multiple warrants 3 days ago. Charges that have been resolved. Mr. Brooks is a free man with no current legal impediments. Because someone paid his bail. Someone who has since withdrawn their support. Irrelevant to the custody question. Judge Morrison raised her hand. Enough. Ms. Chen, you'll have your turn. Mr. Mercer, call your first witness. Derek Brooks took the stand. He was good. Forge had to admit, his voice trembled at exactly the right moments. His eyes glistened with perfectly timed tears. He spoke about his breakdown, his overwhelming shame, his desperate desire to make things right. "I know I failed them," Derek said, dabbing at his eyes. "I know I wasn't there when they needed me. But I've changed, I've gotten help, and all I've ever wanted is to be their father again." Mercer nodded sympathetically. "And what about the mother, Sarah Brooks?" Derek's expression shifted to carefully crafted concern. "I love Sarah. I always will. But she's sick. Really sick. Even before I left, she was struggling. The diabetes was out of control. She couldn't work. She couldn't take care of herself, let alone 2 children." "That's a lie!" Noah's voice cut through the courtroom. Everyone turned. The boy was on his feet, fists clenched. "You're lying. Mom was fine until you left. She was working 3 jobs. 3 jobs to pay the bills because you spent all our money." "Noah." Sarah reached for him. "No, Mom. He's lying and everyone needs to know." Noah pointed at his father. "You didn't leave because you were sick. You left because you're a coward. You left because Mom said she might leave you and you wanted to hurt her. You said so. I heard you on the phone. You said, if she thinks she can leave me, she'll find out what nothing really looks like." The courtroom went silent. Derek's mask slipped for just a moment. Something cold and ugly flashed in his eyes. Then it was gone. "Your Honor, the child is clearly traumatized and confused. He's been manipulated by the people currently caring for him." Manipulated. Victoria stood. By whom? The motorcycle club that found him starving, the medic who saved his mother's life, the man who's paying her hospital bills out of his own pocket. A motorcycle gang is not an appropriate, it's a club, a veterans club. Every member served this country in uniform. Every member has put their lives on hold to help this family. And Mr. Mercer wants to hand these children back to a man with active warrants in 3 states. The warrants have been addressed. For now. What about the pattern, Mr. Mercer? What about Kentucky? What about Georgia? Derek's face went pale. Mercer stepped in smoothly. "I don't know what counsel is referring to." "Then let me enlighten the court. Your Honor, I'd like to call Lisa Dawson to the stand." Lisa walked to the front of the courtroom on shaking legs, but when she sat down, her voice was steady. "I was married to Derek Brooks from 2011 to 2014. We had a daughter together." "And what happened to your marriage, Miss Dawson?" "He left, same as he did to Sarah. One day he was there, the next he was gone. He emptied our bank account first, took everything. I came home from work and found the house cleaned out." "What happened after that?" "I lost the house. Couldn't pay rent without the money he stole. My daughter and I were homeless for 2 years. Shelters, cars, friends' couches. She was 3 years old." "Objection," Mercer said. "This is prejudicial. Past relationships have no bearing on—" "It establishes a pattern, Your Honor. Mr. Brooks didn't make a mistake. He made a strategy. He's done this before and he'll do it again." Judge Morrison's eyes narrowed. "I'll allow it. Continue." Lisa looked directly at Derek. "You destroyed us. You took everything and you didn't care. And I was too scared to fight. I let you win." Her voice hardened. "But not this time. This time someone's going to stop you." Victoria nodded. "Thank you, Ms. Dawson. Your Honor, I'd like to call Jennifer Reynolds." Jennifer was younger than Lisa, but her eyes carried the same weight. "I met Derek in 2017. We were together for 2 years. I had a son from a previous relationship. Derek said he wanted to be a father to him. What happened? Same thing. He got bored. Or maybe he got what he wanted, access to my savings. One morning I woke up and he was gone. So was $12,000 from my retirement fund. How did that affect your family?" "My son asked where Daddy went for 6 months, every single day. Where's Daddy? When's Daddy coming back? How do you explain to a 4-year-old that Daddy was never real?" Derek shifted in his seat. The mask was cracking. "Did you report the theft?" "I tried. Police said it was a civil matter. We were living together, so the money was technically shared property. Jennifer's voice broke. He stole from me, abandoned my son, and there was nothing I could do about it. Victoria turned to the judge. Your Honor, I have documentation of 7 additional women who have reported similar experiences with Mr. Brooks over the past 15 years. 7 women, 7 abandoned families, at least 5 children left without fathers. That's hearsay, Mercer protested. It's pattern evidence, and it's devastating. Judge Morrison studied the papers Victoria handed her. Her expression was unreadable. I'd like to hear from the children, she said finally. Noah Brooks, please approach. Noah walked to the witness stand with his shoulders squared. He looked small in the big chair, but his eyes were fierce. Noah, do you understand why we're here today? Yes, ma'am. My father wants to take us away. How do you feel about that? I don't want to go with him. Noah's voice was clear and strong. He left us. He left when Mom was sick and we didn't have any food and Emma was crying because she was hungry. He didn't care. He didn't even call. Did you try to contact him? I didn't know how. He took Mom's phone, took the car, took everything. We didn't have anyone to call. And who found you? Who helped? The bikers. Noah pointed at Forge. Emma found them on the road. She walked for miles to get help. And they came. They saved Mom. They saved us. How do you feel about these men? Noah was quiet for a moment. Then, they showed up. That's more than my dad ever did. Objection, Mercer called. The child is being coached. I'm not coached. Noah's voice rose. I'm telling the truth. My dad is a liar and a thief, and he doesn't love us. He just wants to hurt Mom. That's all he's ever wanted. Noah. Judge Morrison's voice was gentle. No, I have to say this. Noah looked at his father for the first time. I used to pray for you to come back. Every night. I thought if I was good enough, if I did everything right, you'd come home. But you didn't. Because you never cared about us. You only cared about yourself. Derek's jaw tightened. That's not true. I love you, son. Don't call me that. I'm not your son. A real father doesn't leave his kids to starve. A real father doesn't steal from his family. A real father shows up. Noah pointed at Forge again. He's more of a father than you'll ever be. The courtroom was silent. Judge Morrison cleared her throat. Thank you, Noah. You may step down. Victoria called her final witness. Forge walked to the stand. Mr. Stone, please describe how you encountered the Brooks children. Forge told the story. Emma on the highway, her bloody feet, her whispered plea, the dark path through the woods, the dying mother, the starving children. And what did you do, so? We helped. Why, you didn't know these people. You had no obligation. Forge was quiet for a moment. Because when I was 23 years old, I watched my best friend bleed out in a ditch in Iraq. I held him while he died. His last words were, "Tell my kids I tried." He had 2 children he'd never met. They were born while he was deployed. He died trying to get home to them. The courtroom was utterly still. I made a promise that day, that if I ever had the chance to help someone's children, I would. No matter what. No matter who. Forge looked at Noah and Emma. I kept that promise. What are your intentions going forward, Mr. Stone? To make sure these kids are safe, to help their mother recover, to give them the family they deserve. Mercer stood for cross-examination. Mr. Stone, you have a criminal record, do you not? I have a past. Assault charge 15 years ago. Bar fight. I did my time. And you believe that qualifies you to care for children. I believe showing up qualifies me. Being there qualifies me. Fighting for them qualifies me. Forge leaned forward. What qualifies him? Abandonment, theft. Leaving his daughter to walk barefoot through the woods because there was no one else. That's not. I found that little girl on a dark highway with blood on her feet and terror in her eyes. She grabbed my jacket and begged me to save her mother. 6 years old. She saved her family because her father was too much of a coward to stay. Forge's voice was iron. So you can question my record. You can question my background. But don't you dare question my commitment to those children." Mercer had no further questions. Judge Morrison called a 30-minute recess. In the hallway, Sarah gripped Forge's hand. "Thank you for everything you said. I meant every word." "I know. That's why it mattered." Emma tugged on Forge's sleeve. "Are we winning?" "I don't know yet, sweetheart, but we're fighting." "Good, because I don't want to go with Daddy. He's mean." "You won't have to, I promise." Noah stood apart, staring at the courtroom doors. "You okay, kid?" Forge asked. "I said what I needed to say. Now we wait." "That's the hardest part." "Yeah." Noah looked up at him. "Whatever happens in there, thank you. For believing us, for fighting for us. Nobody ever did that before." Forge put a hand on his shoulder. "Get used to it." The recess ended. Everyone filed back in. Judge Morrison took her seat, her expression giving nothing away. "I've heard testimony today that troubles me deeply. I've seen evidence of a pattern of behavior that goes far beyond a single mistake. And I've witnessed something I rarely see in my courtroom children who are clearly unequivocally desperate to stay where they are." She looked at Derek. "Mr. Brooks, your attorney painted a picture of a man seeking redemption. But what I see is a man seeking opportunity. You abandoned your family at their most vulnerable moment. You took their resources and left them with nothing. And now you come to this court asking for custody, not because you want to be a father, because you want to control a narrative." Derek's face went white. "The emergency motion for custody modification is denied. Furthermore, based on the testimony presented today, I'm ordering a full investigation into Mr. Brooks' parental fitness. Until that investigation is complete, he is prohibited from any contact with Noah and Emma Brooks." "Your Honor," Mercer started. "I'm not finished. I'm also referring this matter to the District Attorney's Office for potential criminal charges related to child endangerment and abandonment. You may be a free man today, Mr. Brooks. I suspect that won't last." She turned to Victoria. "Ms. Chen, your emergency foster placement petition is granted. Mr. Stone will have temporary legal guardianship until Mrs. Brooks is medically cleared to resume full custody." "Thank you, Your Honor." "Don't thank me yet. I'll be watching this case closely. If anything goes wrong, anything at all, I will revisit this decision." Morrison looked at Forge. "Those children have been through enough. Don't let them down." "I won't." The gavel fell. It was over. Emma burst into tears. Noah grabbed his mother's hand. Sarah sobbed with relief, and Forge stood in the middle of it all, feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Victory. Real victory. The kind that mattered. Outside the courthouse, Derek approached Forge. "This isn't over." "Yes, it is. You think you've won? You have no idea what I'm capable of." Forge stepped closer, close enough that only Derek could hear. "I know exactly what you're capable of. Nothing. You're capable of nothing. You hurt women and children because they can't fight back. But now you're facing men who can. And if you come near this family again, if you so much as drive down their street, I will make sure you regret it for the rest of your very short life." "Is that a threat?" "It's a promise. The kind I keep." Derek's face twisted with rage, but he didn't move, didn't speak. He turned and walked away. Forge watched him go, and knew with absolute certainty that he would never see Derek Brooks again. Some predators, when faced with real opposition, simply found easier prey. Behind him, Emma's voice called out, "Forge, we won. We really won." He turned. She was running toward him, arms outstretched. He caught her and lifted her high. "Yeah, sweetheart, we won. Does that mean we get to stay with you?" "That's exactly what it means. Forever." Forge looked at Noah, at Sarah in her wheelchair, at the crew of bikers who'd become family. "Forever," he said, and this time he meant it. 6 months changed everything. Sarah stood at the kitchen window of the farmhouse watching Emma chase butterflies in the yard. The house didn't sag anymore. The paint gleamed white. Flower boxes lined the porch. Tank had built them. Emma had painted them, and now bright petunias spilled over the edges like promises kept. "Mom," Noah appeared beside her. Forge says we need to leave in 30 minutes. I know. I'm almost ready. You okay? Sarah smiled. 6 months ago, her son had been a hollow-eyed child rationing soup for his sister. Now he was a 10-year-old who rode bicycles and laughed at Tank's terrible jokes, and sometimes, just sometimes, let himself be a kid again. I'm better than okay. I'm grateful. Noah hugged her. He didn't do that often. Didn't show vulnerability. But in moments like this, he let her in. Me too, Mom. Me too. Outside, the rumble of motorcycles announced the arrival of the Steel Guardians. 10 bikes rolled up the driveway, chrome gleaming in the morning sun. Forge killed his engine and pulled off his helmet. His hair was grayer than it had been 6 months ago, but his eyes were clearer, lighter, like a weight had been lifted that he'd carried for decades. You ready? He called to Sarah. So 5 minutes. Take your time. The road isn't going anywhere. Today was the day, the big ride, the culmination of everything they'd built since that night on the highway. Guardian Riders Foundation was officially launching. What had started as 8 bikers following a barefoot girl into the darkness had become something larger, something that mattered. They'd incorporated as a nonprofit. They'd partnered with CPS to identify at-risk families. They'd raised money, recruited volunteers, built a network of support that stretched across 3 states. And today, they would announce it to the world. Emma ran to Forge the moment she saw him. He caught her and swung her up, and she laughed that full, unguarded laugh that had been silent for so long. Uncle Forge, I caught a butterfly, but I let it go because Tank said butterflies need to be free. Tank's pretty smart. He's the smartest after you, and Mom, and Noah. What about you? Emma considered this seriously. I'm the bravest. Noah said so. Noah's right. Sarah emerged from the house and Forge's breath caught. She was wearing a simple blue dress, her hair pulled back, a healthy flush in her cheeks. She'd gained weight, good weight. Her eyes had lost their haunted shadows. She looked like someone who'd survived. Someone who'd won. You clean up nice, Forge said. So do you. Is that a new vest? He glanced down at the leather vest Tank had commissioned. The back bore a new patch, a shield with wings, 2 small figures protected beneath them. Guardian Riders. No child left behind. Birthday present from the crew. Your birthday was 3 months ago. They're slow learners. Sarah laughed. It was still the most beautiful sound Forge had ever heard. Everybody ready, Tank called out. We've got 300 bikes waiting in town and a whole lot of cameras pointed at us. 300. Noah's eyes went wide. That's a lot. Biggest charity ride in Tennessee history. News crews from Nashville, Memphis, even some national outlets. Ghost grinned. Turns out bikers saving children is good television. We're not doing this for television, Forge said quietly. No. But the television means more donations. More donations means more families saved. Ghost shrugged. Sometimes good PR serves a good purpose. They loaded up. Sarah rode with Forge, her arms wrapped around his waist. Noah rode with Tank, wearing a custom helmet painted with flames, a birthday gift from the crew. Emma sat secure in a sidecar that Wraith had insisted on installing, clutching a stuffed bear that Preacher had given her. The convoy pulled out, heading toward town. As they rode, Forge thought about the journey that had brought them here. The fear, the fights, the moments when everything seemed lost, the courtroom battle, the sleepless nights, the slow, painful process of rebuilding a family that had been shattered. It hadn't been easy. Nothing worth doing ever was, but they'd done it, together. The town square was packed. 300 motorcycles idled in formation, their riders wearing the new Guardian Riders patches. Crowds lined the streets holding signs and cheering. News cameras jockeyed for position. A banner stretched across the main stage, Guardian Riders Foundation, protecting tomorrow's future. Mayor Williams stepped to the microphone as the Steel Guardians pulled into their places of honor at the front of the formation. Ladies and gentlemen, 6 months ago, a little girl walked out of the darkness onto a highway. She was barefoot. She was terrified. And she was looking for someone, anyone, to help save her family. The crowd went silent. She found something unexpected. Not police officers, not social workers, but a group of motorcycle riders who decided in that moment that they couldn't look away, that they wouldn't ride past, that they would answer a child's cry for help. Mayor Williams gestured toward Forge and the crew. What happened next is the kind of story we don't hear often enough. A family in crisis was saved. A mother recovered. 2 children found stability. And a group of veterans discovered a new mission, one that would change countless lives. Emma tugged on Forge's sleeve. Is she talking about me? She's talking about all of us, sweetheart. I'm famous. You're important. That's better than famous. Mayor Williams continued. Today we launch Guardian Riders Foundation officially. This organization will partner with Child Protective Services, law enforcement, and community organizations to identify families in crisis and provide immediate support. Not paperwork, not bureaucracy. Real help, fast help, the kind of help that saves lives. She turned to Forge. Mr. Stone, would you like to say a few words? Forge hadn't prepared a speech. He wasn't good at speeches, but as he walked to the microphone, words found him anyway. I spent 20 years running from the worst night of my life. The night I watched my best friend die and couldn't save him. I thought if I kept moving, kept riding, the memories wouldn't catch up. I was wrong. He looked at Sarah, at Noah, at Emma. 6 months ago, a little girl grabbed my jacket and whispered, "Please help me. My mother won't wake up." She was 6 years old. She'd walked for miles in the dark. Her feet were bleeding, and she didn't give up. His voice cracked slightly. That little girl taught me something I'd forgotten. That the worst moments of our lives aren't meant to destroy us. They're meant to prepare us. Every battle I'd survived, every wound I'd carried, every mile I'd ridden trying to outrun my ghosts, it all led to that moment on the highway. It all led to her. Emma waved from the sidecar. The crowd laughed softly. Guardian Riders isn't about us. It's about them. The children nobody sees. The families falling through cracks. The moments when someone needs help and nobody comes. Forge's voice hardened with conviction. We're going to be the ones who come. We're going to show up. We're going to stay. And we're never going to stop. The crowd erupted in applause. Behind him, Tank wiped his eyes with the back of his massive hand. Ghost pretended to check his phone. Wraith didn't bother hiding her tears. And somewhere in the crowd, Margaret Hayes smiled. She'd taken a chance on these bikers. Every protocol said she shouldn't have. Every regulation warned against it. But she'd looked at those children, looked at these men, and decided to trust her instincts. For once, her instincts had been right. After the speeches, after the photos, after the mayor presented Forge with a ceremonial key to the city, the ride began. 300 motorcycles rolled through the streets of town in formation. The sound was tremendous, a wall of thunder that shook windows and vibrated in chests. But it wasn't intimidating anymore. It was triumphant. People lined the route, waving flags, holding signs, cheering. Thank you, Guardian Riders. God bless you. Heroes. Emma waved back at everyone, her small hand moving constantly. They love us, she said to Wraith. They love you, baby girl. You started all this. I just walked until I found help. Sometimes that's all it takes. One person brave enough to walk. The ride wound through 3 counties, ending at the Children's Hospital, where they'd deliver toys donations and something harder to measure hope. At the hospital, children pressed against windows to watch the bikers arrive. Some were bald from chemotherapy. Some were in wheelchairs. Some had bandages covering injuries no child should have. But all of them smiled. The Steel Guardians carried bags of toys inside, spending hours with the patients. Tank let kids sit on his shoulders. Ghost performed card tricks that always went wrong to everyone's delight. Preacher read stories in voices that made nurses laugh. And Forge found himself in a quiet room with a boy about Noah's age. The boy had burns covering half his face. His eyes were ancient with pain. Are you really a biker? The boy asked. I am. Like a tough guy. Some people think so. The boy was quiet for a moment. I used to be tough. Before the fire, now I'm just broken. Forge pulled up a chair and sat down. You know what I learned? Broken isn't the end. Broken is just the beginning of something new. That's what my mom says. Your mom sounds smart. She's the smartest. The boy traced the scars on his arm. But I look like a monster now. Kids at school will be scared of me. Can I tell you a secret? The boy nodded. I've done things that should make me a monster, things I can never undo. And for a long time I thought that's all I was, a monster hiding in human skin. Forge leaned forward. But then a little girl looked at me, really looked at me, and she wasn't scared. She saw past all the leather and the scars and the hard face. She saw someone who could help, and she was right. What happened? She changed my life, and I changed hers. That's how it works. Broken people find each other. They help each other heal. They become something new together. The boy's eyes glistened. You think I can find people like that? I think you already have. Your mom, the nurses, the doctors, everyone who loves you. Forge put a hand on the boy's shoulder. And now you have us, Guardian Riders. If you ever need anything at all, you call us. Deal. Deal. Forge shook the boy's hand. A promise made. A promise he would keep. That evening, as the sun set over Tennessee, the Steel Guardians gathered at the farmhouse. The yard was full of motorcycles. The porch was full of people. Someone had set up a grill, and the smell of burgers drifted through the air. Sarah watched her children play tag with bikers 3 times their size, and her heart felt full enough to burst. You okay? Forge asked, settling into the chair beside her. I keep waiting to wake up, to find out this was all a dream. It's not a dream. I know, but 6 months ago I was dying on that couch. My kids were starving. I'd given up. She turned to face him. You gave me my life back. You gave me mine. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the chaos of chosen family. Tank was teaching Emma to throw a football. She couldn't get it to spiral, but she was determined. Noah was helping Ghost set up a bonfire. Wraith and Preacher were arguing about something, probably whose turn it was to buy groceries. It was messy. It was loud. It was perfect. Forge? Sarah's voice was soft. Yeah. What happens now? He thought about the question. 6 months ago, the answer would have been simple. Keep riding. Keep running. Keep outpacing the ghosts. But now we keep going. We build this foundation into something that matters. We save as many families as we can. He paused. And we live. Actually live. Not just survive. That sounds good. It sounds terrifying. Sarah laughed. Growth usually is. Emma ran over, breathless and grass-stained. Forge Tank says I throw like a natural. What's a natural? Someone who's born good at something. I was born good at throwing. Apparently so. What else am I born good at? Forge looked at this little girl who'd walked barefoot through the darkness to save her family, who'd grabbed a stranger's jacket and refused to let go, who'd chosen to trust when trust had given her nothing but pain. Being brave, he said. You're born good at being brave. Emma beamed. Then she ran back to Tank, shouting about her natural-born bravery. Noah approached next, more hesitant. Can I talk to you? Always. They walked a little distance from the crowd, finding quiet in the noise. Something's been bothering me, Noah said. About the trial. About what I said. What about it? I told the judge you were more of a father than my real dad. I meant it then. But now I'm worried I hurt you somehow. Forge blinked. Hurt me. Because you lost your son. Because he won't talk to you. I said you were like a father, but maybe that made you feel bad about not being a father to your own kid. This boy. This 10-year-old boy with the soul of someone much older. Forge crouched down. Noah, listen to me. What you said in that courtroom was the greatest gift anyone's ever given me. You didn't know it. You couldn't have known. But I'd spent 18 years believing I wasn't capable of being a father. That I'd failed so completely, so permanently, that I'd never get another chance. His voice roughened. You proved me wrong. You and Emma. You showed me that family isn't about blood. It's about showing up. About staying. About choosing each other every single day. So I didn't hurt you. You saved me. Noah's tough facade cracked. He stepped forward and hugged Forge, a real hug, not the awkward side hugs he usually allowed. I'm glad Emma found you, Noah whispered. I'm glad she did too. Later that night, when the bonfire had burned low and most of the crew had headed home, Forge got a phone call. Unknown number. He almost ignored it. But something made him answer. Hello, Dad. The word hit him like a physical blow. Ryan. Yeah, it's me. His son's voice, 18 years old, a man, now a stranger. I saw you on the news, the charity ride, the foundation. I didn't know you were watching. I wasn't. A friend sent me the clip. The part where you talked about learning from a little girl. Silence. She reminded me of me, back when I thought you'd save me from anything. Forge closed his eyes. Ryan, I'm not calling to fight. I'm not calling to yell. Another silence. I've been so angry for so long. At you, at Mom, at everything. But watching you today, watching you with those kids, I saw someone different. Someone I don't know. I've changed. I can see that. Ryan's voice cracked. I don't know what this means. I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't know if we can ever be. I don't know. That's okay. But I wanted you to know. I saw you. And I'm proud of what you're doing. Tears streamed down Forge's face. Thank you. You don't know what that means. Maybe I do. Ryan took a breath. I have to go. But maybe we could talk again sometime. Start slow. I'd like that. I'd really like that. Okay, goodbye, Dad. Goodbye, son. The line went dead. Forge stood in the darkness, phone clutched in his hand, crying for the first time in 18 years. Sarah found him there. Forge, what happened? My son called. What? He saw the news. He saw me. He's proud of me. Sarah took his hand. That's wonderful. It's terrifying. Like I said, growth usually is. They stood together in the darkness, watching stars appear one by one. You know what I realized? Forge said finally. What? That night on the highway, when Emma grabbed my jacket, I thought I was saving her. But she was saving me. She was saving all of us. Every single person in this crew needed something. Purpose. Redemption. Family. She gave us that. A 6-year-old girl with bloody feet and more courage than anyone I've ever known. She's special. She's ours. Sarah leaned against him. Yes, she is. The night stretched on, peaceful and full of promise. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new families to help, new battles to fight. The foundation was just beginning. There would be setbacks, failures, moments when the weight seemed too heavy to carry. But they would carry it anyway, because that's what family did. The next morning, Forge stood on the porch watching the sunrise. Emma appeared beside him, still in her pajamas, hair wild from sleep. What are you doing? Watching the sun come up. Why? Because every sunrise is a new chance, a new beginning, a chance to be better than you were yesterday. Emma considered this. I was pretty good yesterday. Forge laughed. Yeah, you were. Will you watch the sunrise with me again tomorrow? Every day. For as long as you want. Forever. He looked at this little girl who'd walked out of darkness and into his life, who'd changed everything with a whisper and a plea, who'd given him back something he thought he'd lost forever. Forever, he said. And this time the promise felt like truth. Because sometimes the people who save you aren't the ones you expect. Sometimes they're the ones everyone else gave up on. Sometimes they're outlaws on motorcycles who hear a child crying and decide that this time, they're not going to ride away. This time they're going to stay. And that makes all the difference.